There we go. Okay. Well, I am here with Matt and Heather, and I helped sleep train their little one. Do you want to go ahead and tell us about your little guy?
Yeah, so Christina helped us with our son Henry. He was 3.5 at the time. Henry, a little background on Henry. Henry has trisomy 21 or Down syndrome. And from day one, when we would follow Facebook groups and such, everyone talked about what horrible sleepers kids with Down syndrome are. And so we just kind of had that in our mindset. And boy, was he not a great sleeper. Um, up 3-4 times a night, even when he was 3. But Henry did have to have his tonsils and adenoids out. There was no other medical condition to where any doctor felt like it wouldn't be safe to sleep train. And we had finally hit rock bottom at 3.5. Matt and I were exhausted, and we had zero zilcho time to ourselves. And we have 3 other kids. And we said something has to change because this is not right. Henry would require to be rocked to sleep. And we would have to gently lay him down and pray that he would not wake up. And if he did, we'd go back to the rocking chair till he goes to sleep. Then he would wake up in the night and realize we weren't there. The only way to get him back to sleep was either rock him. Sometimes it would take an hour, or put him in bed with us. And we were getting into such a habit then. Neither Matt or I would sleep because he was in our bed, and it just wasn't healthy. And we both get up early, and then we would wake Henry up. And so we just truly were at our wits' end, and we knew that there was more that could be done, that it truly wasn't a medical condition. It wasn't because he had Down syndrome, because like I said, every doctor had cleared him. He could breathe. So we knew we had to do something, and we reached out to Christina, and game changer, life changing. So, but that's pretty much where we were at. And I definitely absolutely wish we wouldn't have waited till he was 3.5, because then bad habits really get set into place and much harder to break. But I was very fearful that we would just listen to screaming for 2 weeks straight. And it was really just, and we never really experienced like screaming, but getting out of bed and coming back in. It was about 3 solid nights. And then after that, it was like miraculous. Christina told us, trust me, it won't take a full 2 weeks. And I'm like, whatever, there's just no way. Matt and I are pretty optimistic people, but we had been through the ringer, and we were like, there's no way Henry's going to do this. And it's basically just to saying, I'm the parent, and these are the rules, and we're going to stick to them. It's just truly about sticking to the consistency and the plan that you and Christina set up. And through that, I have to say, Christina was so good in talking with me daily, emailing me, wanting to know absolutely everything Henry did that day, ate that day, the amount of time he slept, what time he got up, everything. And then when things didn't work and I felt like we needed a different tactic, she gave us that. It was wonderful, because there was just certain things that work for your kid, and they don't. I mean, until you try, you don't know.
Right.
So that, I mean, did you want to add anything? It's just been a huge blessing for our family and made a huge difference. So
I think many would realize that it's not just about Henry. It was also about our relationship. And I would go in, like Heather said, and either one, rock him. And then I had a long day at work. So I obviously ended up falling asleep with Henry in my lap or on my chest. And so one, that's not safe. And then two, also, we just got into that routine of doing that every night. And then Heather would come in at midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 in the morning, and wake me up. I would lightly put him down, or if he woke up in the night, one of us would end up sleeping on the floor next to his crib, hoping he would go to sleep. And again, it affected our relationship because we have 4 kids in all, and we barely get any time to even have a normal conversation. So this has allowed us to have our evenings together and at least have a consistent conversation in the evening, or sit down and watch a show together if we get the time. So it's been fantastic. And with Christina's guidance through all of it was worth every bit of it. Few screaming nights, like Heather said, but totally worth it.
Well, what are some of the results with not just with Henry, but the other kids too? Like, do you feel like that it affected everybody? And can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we would always try to, have relaxing time, bath time before bed, and try to calm down the kids and relax. It wasn't like we just went from them sports activities right up to bed, but it was just that everyone needed to be quiet, either in bed reading at the time that Henry was going to bed. And it just set a good pattern for everybody. We're very strict now with bedtime and getting kids in bed. And now it's to the point where even on the weekends, the kids are like exhausted by 8:00, 8:30 maybe, and they're ready to go to bed. Even our daughter, who just turned 14, she goes to bed at 8:00. I mean, she's ready to go. And, some nights she'll stay up reading, but it's just been a healthy thing for our entire family. And the emphasis on how much sleep can do for you, not only your health, but for the kids' academics and just your overall well-being. The kids really realize now how important that is. And, we never let our kids stay up till midnight or anything like that. We were always pretty good about sleep. It was just more about being a little bit stricter and teaching them the importance of it, and them actually getting to see that in action with their youngest brother. So that was a healthy thing for our entire family.
We've always been pretty routine. What we didn't mention is we had twins. And so we were very, very routine with their napping, their schedules, their eating, all of that until they were probably at least 6. But then when we had Henry, which was a little bit behind the twins, he was our youngest and our baby. So obviously we were a little bit more relaxed with him, but it quickly started to show. And that's when we kind of needed like some help to get back into a routine.
Yeah. Heather, would you touch a little bit on Henry's academics? I remember, you telling me about his teacher like a week or so into working together.
Yeah.
Go ahead and elaborate.
So again, sleep is so much more than just, feeling good. It shows in all areas. And when he first started developmental preschool at 3, we were still struggling with very sleepless nights, 3 to 4 times up a night. And then he would go to school and he just really wouldn't be interested in learning, or not that he was bad or anything. He just wasn't focused. But once we really get Henry's sleep down, and the teachers noticed his attention span is so much better. His willingness to learn is so much better. His retention, like just remembering routines and things. And he's a very routine kid. So if we have a day that things get messed up, like a holiday and sleep, boy, there's, a heck to pay because we're so strict with it now. So we try to not let him miss those naps or sleep at night. And there's still times occasionally Henry will have a rough night, and not 3 to 4 times up. But I can always tell the difference. And I always let his teacher know that day, Henry was up before the sun today. And there was nothing I could do to get this kid back to sleep. He just sat in his room awake, banging on the door to come out. But academic wise and attention span, and I think kids with disabilities tend to thrive on routine, consistency, and it just makes for a better well-being all around. Behavior, learning, listening, attention span. Matt and I can always tell what kind of day it's going to be if Henry gets up super early. At a certain time, it's just like we just know that, so we saw a huge difference, and the teachers saw a huge difference in his learning and his willingness to learn.
That's awesome. Well, if you could give somebody advice that is currently struggling now and considering sleep training, what would it be?
Do it. Don't wait. Don't think that your kid can't do it. Don't put your kid in that box too. I think as a parent with a kiddo with a disability, sometimes we give them special treatment, not meaning to, but we just know that things come harder to them. And we do that with our son. Sometimes we're like, he has to work for the simplest things that come to us, like talking or walking or take time for a kiddo with a developmental delay. And they work so hard, but they can do it. And it's important for a child to learn to self-soothe. You're only helping them in the long run. And I see that so much more now because Henry's growing to be more independent because he can, not just because he can sleep himself, but because he's getting better sleep and better willingness, like I said, to learn. And it's just such a good overall, I don't know, thing for him to know how to do. Independence, and that's what we want for our kiddos. So I just say, don't be afraid to try it. There's no reason that your kid cannot do it. It's more just, are you willing to stick to it? Are you willing to have maybe a couple rough nights? But hey, you're already probably having rough nights anyways, right?
Right, exactly.
So you're probably going to get more sleep. And I just really wish more people would get on board with doing this and know that their kid can do it, and to give yourself a break. Like, it's exhausting enough to go from therapy to just everything that a parent with any kid, but especially a kiddo with special needs, because like I said, we have 3 other children who do not have special needs, and they're hard enough. But to add like on therapies and illnesses and other things that just come with a kiddo, possibly with a developmental delay or disability, it's exhausting as it is. And I think as a parent, you need a break and you need rest so that you can be a better parent to that kiddo. So my advice is try it. What is it going to hurt to try? It will truly be life-changing for your family and for that child. You're doing that kiddo a favor by teaching them to self-soothe. And I might mention, everybody always thinks sleep training is about screaming nonstop. Like putting your kid in a room, locking them in there, just letting them scream till they fall. And that is not Christina's plan. And you can tell her, hey, I'm not comfortable with that. And she gives you another option. That's what I just loved. Like, we weren't quite ready to just put him in his bed and leave the room. So Christina came up with a plan. Okay, you can stand. You cannot touch him. You cannot, just gotta say the code word or the, lay down, night time, whatever it is you and Christina work out. But you can just stand there, and then each night, move a little bit further away from the bed, and then eventually work your way out. And that was really nice because Henry needed that transition. We just knew that we couldn't just go straight out of the room. And so I love that about Christina, is if something's not working for you, don't be afraid to tell her, because she wants to come up with the individual plan for you. And no kid is alike. So every plan is custom. And so I just love that, because that was my fear. And going into it, I was just so doubtful because I don't know. I like I said, I read all these Facebook groups and such that we follow. Kids just don't sleep with Down syndrome. Well, a lot of the posts I'd read are about habits though, too, nothing medical. So yeah, just do it. Just try it. You got nothing to lose.
Anything you wanted to add, Matt?
I would just say, if anybody else is like me, before you were to dive into something new, you're looking at reviews, you're looking at what other people say. And this by far was a 5-star experience. And like I said, again, I can't elaborate enough that to get some of that time back for yourself in the evenings was the most beneficial to me. That was the best part. Because like I said, I would be the one sleeping on the floor, sleeping in the chair with him. And it wasn't healthy for him. It wasn't healthy for me and us as well as a couple. So definitely 5 stars here. And
He's a good dad because he knew I was exhausted every day.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be up with Henry too. I would sleep on the floor some too, but he definitely took so many shifts that I'm forever grateful, because by the end of the day, any mom, especially a mom with a kiddo with disability, is exhausted. Like your brain's fried, your body's fried, like everything. You are just zapped. And self-care is so important, because I would just be so grumpy and upset with all the kids because we weren't getting sleep. So, or time together. I mean, I think there comes a point where you're a little selfish and and you try not, and we're not selfish people, but you're like, I need a break. We need some time to at least be able to carry on a conversation about some important matters that we were just never able to, because when we'd sit down, we would just pass out.
Yeah. So I guess do yourself a favor and call Christina, because she is fabulous.
Love that. Well, it was such a pleasure working with you too and your family. And I'm just grateful that you guys are such an amazing family. So thank you again.
Well, thank you, truly, from the bottom of our heart. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you guys.